Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Self-Love Sunday. Today, I have a really good topic to talk about. One that is very close to my heart because it's one of my life lessons. I guess my soul chose this topic as one of that has brought the most growth. It's been a catalyst for my life, which is the topic of food addiction and body image. And so now this Facebook Live could be very relevant for women. Us as women, I don't know if you saw the documentary it's not a documentary, it's a special from Brené Brown on Netflix. Well, she in her research found that the biggest source of shame for women is our body temple. Now, that's not to say that is not for men. So this Facebook Live is not only for women, this also applies to men. Now, if food and weight is not what you struggle with, this could be any other kind of addiction. It could be addiction to your emotions, addiction to anger, addiction to working, addiction to, drama, what other people think of me. We'll have, our hookups, our lessons in this life. I'm going to call it lessons. So, but today I'm going to talk specifically about weight issues, food addiction, and poor body image. And the theme applies to all kinds of addictions. So you can change the word. Whenever I said weight, food, body, you can change it for whatever resonates with you. Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So this might apply to more than one topic in your life. So before starting this Facebook Live, I would love for us to start in our beingness, meaning start in our hearts before we go into our minds. Now, that's not to say that our minds are not important. Our minds are beautiful tools. It's a beautiful technology that we get to use in this human experience. But we want our minds to be following what the heart says, what our spirit, highest self says. We begin saying with our minds to our highest selves, can you tell me what to do? Can you tell me where to go? Can you tell me what to say and to whom? We open ourselves up in this moment to receive the wisdom, to be guided. So in order to do this, I'm going to invite you to breathe a little slower and a little deeper than you usually do it. We're going to do this together. We're going to breathe in slow and deep. And we're going to let go. Inhale slow and deep. And I want you to let go out the mouth. Inhale slow and deep. And I let go out the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Keep breathing in and out. So we give ourselves permission in this moment to be right here, right now. I want you to scan your body quickly from head to toe as you're breathing in and out, and make sure that you are engaging in all of your senses. See what you see, hear what you hear, taste what you taste, touch what you touch, know what you know. Just engage all of your senses in this present moment. Feel your body on that chair, that couch, the bed, the car, wherever it is that you are when you're listening to this. Just be right here, right now, in your body. Be present to your body, to the now. Letting go little by little, whatever stress, whatever tension, whatever stories we've been telling ourselves in our minds. Just simply let it go, let it be. Exhale the past, inhale right here, right now. Inhale peace. Let go of fear. Inhale vitality. And let go of any lethargy in your body. Bring in oxygen to every cell of your body. Inhale. And let go. So we open our hearts and we open our minds to receive whatever it is that we came here to receive. We let go whatever is not relevant with you. And we are ready to begin. So very slowly and very gracefully open your eyes and come back to where you are in this moment. Beautiful. Amazing. So I want to see who is online. I see Joe. Oh, hi. I know who you are now. Hi. Nicole says hi there. Hi. Gokhan, Brenda. Hi, everyone. So good to see you all here. All right, so let's begin. It took me a while to get through this topic in the other call. So see if this time I can go more to the point. There's so much to talk about this, and especially me because, well, it's just a beautiful, wide topic to talk about. And again, this is for men and for women. In my life, I've gone through this special lesson from the universe to evolve and expand. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. As you know, as children, we come in complete alignment with the universe. We're in complete alignment with God, with love. You see a baby, even 2, 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, they're still in so much grace and so much innocence. So as every human being, I came to this world full of grace, full of innocence. And then by the time I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I remember gradually falling out of grace. Starting to feel the heaviness of certain situations, comments from people, my mom and my dad working a lot, and then me being not raised, but, I had a lot of nannies and, ladies that would take care of me, and they probably were not in the best moment of their lives. And so as a little girl, I absorbed a lot of it. And I don't see it as this happened against me. This is just how life goes for every single human being. Your story might be different. It might be that you had an alcoholic parent at home. It might be that your environment didn't feel very safe. It could be that there was sexual trauma. It's different for everyone. But at some point, all of us fall out of grace. And then as a kid, you start behaving in a certain way. You start creating a personality. You start creating coping mechanisms. And so in my case, one of my coping mechanisms, because I come from a family, especially my mom and my grandma, they were very strong. They never show any sign of weakness. And so as a little girl, I remember developing shame around showing emotion, because I didn't know how to show emotion, or I didn't know, but I didn't want to because it made me feel inadequate. I remember food was my coping mechanism. And instead of feeling, I would eat. It was I was eating my hungry heart. And I remember developing this pattern of eating and never feeling fulfilled, like I was like it was enough food. And of course, at the time, you know, nutrition and health and wellness has had a revolution since the 90s. I was 5, 6 years old in 1990. So at that time, it was all about cut the calories and exercise. So I remember eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar. And so the cycle of carbs and sugar is that you eat it, you reach a peak of, I think it's glucose. And then when you have the drop, then you're hungry again. That's why food full of sugar and carbohydrates keeps you always hungry. And so I had that kind of diet, and my mom, I remember by the time I was 7, she's like, well, we need to put you in the gym, and we need to have you do a little diet because you're gaining a lot of weight very fast. So she was worried about it. And, conscious parenting wasn't a topic back in the day. So by the time I was 7 years old, I knew there was something wrong in my body. And so, all those years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, until I was 12 years old, I would, sneak and, go to the kitchen and try to not have my mom see me, or my dad would give me the chocolates. And, it was kind of like a game, me trying to go against, because I didn't understand why people had such a problem with me having some more pounds on me. In school, I would get bullied and all of this. So I remember just saying, okay, I need to do a diet, but I'm going to hide the food, and I'll just do all this, as a little girl, I was pretty innocent, and I knew I was doing something wrong, but I still wanted to do it because I was hungry all the time. So by the time I had my first menstruation, things started to shift. My first moon, because now I needed to fit in. Now I was no longer a little girl. I started liking boys, and I needed to feel adequate in my body. And so I started a decade of complete abuse to my body. What does that mean? Well, at the time, again, in the 90s, it was all about cut the calories, do more exercise. I wasn't doing much exercise, but I was trying not to eat a lot. And if I ate a lot, I remember taking laxative teas to, purge it in the bathroom. I never was one that puked or was anorexic. I just do the binging and then try to go to the bathroom. By the time I was 14 years old, I remember one time I had to go to this birthday party. The 15 years old is a big deal here in Latin America. So there was this big party, and I was so excited to go, but I couldn't go. I ended up in the hospital because I completely flushed away the flora in my gut. And so I had a bacteria in my gut. And the doctor talked to my mom and said, you need to watch out because this is not normal. And she's probably purging or, going to the bathroom a lot because she's trying to be skinny, and this is very close of her developing a pretty bad how do you call that? Yeah, an eating disorder. So anyway, 14, 15, 16 years old, I kept doing it, not so much, but trying to eat not too much, try to belong. At that age, all you want is to belong. By the time I was 20 years old, I said, there must be another way because I'm pretty tired of doing this. So what can I do? So I started learning about fitness and nutrition, and I did a lot of research, and I liked what I saw. And so from, doing crazy dieting, I went to doing crazy kind of lifestyle. Maybe not crazy, but because you call it lifestyle, it seemed like it's all right. So from vanity, trying to fit in, trying to, demonstrate that I was enough, that I was worthy, being a teenager, I went to, I'm going to try to be healthy, but healthy meant at that time that I was going to go to an extreme. So I remember in my early 20s, I was obsessed about what I ate. I was obsessed how much I run. I ran so much that I completely damaged my knees. And I didn't care because, I would get really great results from running. So all of this behavior, extreme behavior, and I remember at the time I was getting good results. So for me, gaining a pound or two, it was terror. Terror. I remember the terror I would feel because my body, my weight, if it was down and if it was close to what society wanted, then I was worthy. But if I would gain a pound, or I would feel like I wasn't, in my optimal state, I wasn't going to be worthy. And so I remember at the time I would look at myself in the mirror and just look every single part of my body, trying to see if it was imperfect and talking about it, and just so much toxicity. I've never been so skinny in my life and never been that sad, never been so sad in my life. It was not enough. And let me tell you something about that. I was not feeling enough, not because I was not in my optimal weight. I was not feeling enough because I didn't feel enough internally. I was completely identified with, trying to impress, trying to be worthy through my body image. So I remember by the time I was 24, 25, I decided to become a coach. And, I was already reading a lot, and I would engage in binge eating sometimes. I would stop for a while, use my willpower, and then I'll binge 2-3 months down the road. Sometimes I'll go 6 months, perfect, and then I will binge because I was missing a big part of the whole picture, which I'm going to tell you in a moment. But very quickly, I'm telling you a little bit about my background with weight issues, food addiction, and poor body image, so that you know where I come from. And now I've been engaging in some practices, spiritual practices, especially, and most importantly, that has kept me in harmony with my body. So this is my offering to you today. Some of the things that I've done for myself that has helped me to have a better relationship with this beautiful vehicle. Because let me tell you something about this beautiful human animal. This body, this vehicle is the only relationship that you don't get to divorce from. You probably heard me say this before. You can divorce people, you will not divorce your body. This is until death do us part. So I started to discover this through coaching and through, becoming a coach and my certification. I remember hearing for the first time self-love, body temple, all of these things from different teachers. And I was like, well, that sounds good, but I have no idea what does that mean? How do you even start loving your body? So the first thing I needed to do, or the first thing I discovered, is my soul. The first steps towards having a better relationship with my body was to discover that I was not this body. I have a body. I am not the body. Now, this is not to say that if you know that you discover that you're not the body, then you're just going to let go and eat all you want and forget about you. Because when you identify with that part of you that is eternal, that it was never born, it will never die, when you do this, you have more desire to respect and honor this temple. When you know who you are, you want to take care of what you have, which is your body. So there is a very fine line between being a perfectionist and between letting go. And this is something I want to bring to the table because I know there's a lot of beautiful movements that say, let's celebrate the body the way it is. And I agree with that. Let's celebrate the body the way it is. You are perfect just the way you are. That doesn't mean that you completely forget about your body and stop doing self-care. Because that in and of itself, it's an act of not loving yourself. So it's not about completely letting go, and it's not about being a control freak. Because I've known people that are in perfect fitness conditions, and they're so polluted here that they're still sick and tired. That there's no emotional hygiene here. That you can be eating salads every day, exercising every day, that if you have toxic thoughts, you're still going to be sick and tired. Now, I've known the other extreme too, where it's like, well, I'm only spirit, my spirituality is the most important thing. And in the name of that, which I don't know how that correlates, because when you are feeling good with your soul, when you're in alignment with your soul, you naturally want to take care of your body. But I've seen people where they're like, well, this doesn't matter, or whatever, you only live once and I'm just going to enjoy the moment. And you can see that even though they do great spiritual work, their bodies are collapsing. They're not sleeping well. They're in a constant state of giving, giving, giving. So they're not sleeping well. They're not dedicating time for self-care. They're eating poorly. And so these are people that at some point their bodies will collapse, even though they're not so identified with the vanity of the body. Does that make sense? I hope this is making sense. Let's take a deep breath in and let go. I see Christy online. Hi, Diana. Hi, amiga. Lau. Okay. All right. So let's carry on. So for me, around mid-20s, I'm 34 right now. So this has been more or less, I was going to say the Spanish, más o menos, more or less 10 years of my life where I've been rediscovering a way to relate to my body, studying, questioning a lot that comes out. There's so much noise. That is why it's so important that you take a little bit of what resonates with you and make it your own. But in order for me to have a good relationship with my body, first I need to understand why in the world this is such a huge topic for me. And let me tell you something about our biology, just because I think it's so relevant. And next week I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but in the topic of romantic relationships. I'm going to tell you in a moment. But this is the thing. As women, I'm going to talk about women first and then men. As women, thousands of years ago, we stayed at home. We took care, well, not home, wherever home was. We took care of the nest. We needed to make sure that we kept a percentage of body fat so that we can create babies or procreate. We will keep the nest warm and adequate. And so the man will go hunt or get the seeds and nuts and whatever they will bring. They'll bring it to us. And that was the role of female and male. Now, it's natural for a woman to feel this need to feel good in the body. Now, I'm not saying it's not for men too. For men, it goes the same way. But for women, even more importantly, because from a biological standpoint, if you're a woman that is adequate in your body, you are a woman that is desirable to procreate, meaning continue human race in the world. So as you see, the role is so important to have an adequate body to keep the human race. Without us, there wouldn't be any people in the world. So that's the biological, simple, primal conversation. Now, men. Why is the biggest source of shame for men being perceived as weak? Because you guys had to come and bring whatever food you brought to the nest, to the community, and you need to be the provider, the protector. So when men are feeling that they're being weak, or they're being perceived as weak, that brings big emotions of shame. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't happen to women. We also want to feel powerful. We also want to feel that we can protect. That doesn't mean the men that don't feel inadequate in their bodies. They also feel inadequate in their bodies. But in general terms, the reason why there's so much pressure on the body is because it stems from a very biological fact. Now, in the centuries, and especially, and I was reading this morning, in this book that the 20th century until about, I believe, 2012, it was called, from the Tantrikas, this comes from Tantra, it was called the Age of Darkness, meaning there was a lot of polarization, power, inequality with women and men, with race, all of that. We come from a time where it was a lot of darkness, and I hope I'm still here. Are we still online? Okay. I think it disconnected for a moment. Are you guys still listening to me? I would love for someone to put in the comments, I still see you and I still hear you, because the computer just told me that it was reconnecting. Are you guys still here? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lau. Thank you so much. So we're entering an era of truth, which is funny because it was about 7 years ago in 2012 when I said enough is enough. I need to learn how to love my body because I've been abusing it for so long. So we're entering an era, or we enter already an era of truth. But in that era of darkness, quote unquote, is when we develop all this craziness around the body and power. Especially women around the body, especially men around power and money. And that's why the industry of plastic surgery, weight loss, fitness has billions of dollars, because they make money with you feeling inadequate in your body, with you over-identifying with your body, with you and me thinking that we are a body and not a soul. So we're entering a new era. We already enter a new era, and that's why this conversation is so relevant today. Now I have people coming to me and they say, Paola, I self-sabotage all the time. I mean, I've paid detoxes, I've paid the nutritionist, I've gone through, retreats, I learned about eating raw, I learned about all of these things, always ending up in the same place. Why do I do this? And the reason why I have done it and you have done it is because we haven't really tackled the root of it. Why do we do what we do? Why do we have addictions to food or anything else? And one of my favorite explanations is because we are desperately looking for oneness. We're desperately looking for love in the wrong places. In my case, I was desperately looking for love, for nurturing. And what's the best way of nurturing yourself? Food. Now, in this call, I don't want to sound like I got it all figured out. I could tell you from my heart that it's been a few years where I feel harmony in my body. Now, that's not to say that sometimes my ego doesn't come and give me that nasty comment, that sometimes I don't want to do a fasting because the day before I ate too much. But the difference between Paola now and Paola 10 years ago is that I can pause and ask myself, am I doing this from a space of love, or am I doing this from a space of fear? Am I doing this because I want to celebrate this body temple and I want to express the beauty and the greatness of the universe, or am I doing this because I need to feel worthy? And if I'm not looking a certain way, if I'm not being a certain way, then I'm not worthy anymore. There is such a fine line that is a bit scary sometimes, how quick we can be operating from fear instead of operating from love. That is why it's so important to keep your awareness alert, to be the observer, and to correct. So again, I'm not here to say that sometimes it does happen, but then I can forgive myself and begin again. So for that reason, I want to show you the cycle of self-sabotage and how I broke it. And then I think this will be very beneficial for those of you that feel so tired of doing the cycle of trying so hard, and then falling off the wagon, and then 3-4 months later you're like, oh my God, okay, let's go again. And then you go like that for decades. So this is how the self-sabotage goes, and then I'm going to show you how I break my self-sabotage, because sometimes it creeps in, but it doesn't stay there too long. And that's the beauty of it. I can be the winner. I can have control over it, not it control over me. So this is how it goes. You set up a goal. I didn't think it looked. I'm going to put it with a color. You heard me saying this in class probably. You set up a goal. I'm going to start eating well, sleeping well, hydrating well, and what else? Meditating. You set the goal. And you do it well for a while. until something triggers you. And that triggers emotions of inadequacy, shame, guilt, whatever it is. And in a matter of seconds, you are engaging in your addiction. In my case, it was food, all behavior. Then after all behavior, immediately after that, Mr. Shame and Mr. Guilt come to visit you and tell you how bad of a person you are. Shame on you. All the work, all the money you invested last Monday, last month is lost because you have no power and you are a fraud. So Mr. Shame and Mr. Guilt will keep you swimming in their goop for a little bit until you say, you know what? Enough is enough. I would say this. I remember in my early 20s, I would stay here weeks. It was pretty sad because here I was just obsessed over it. Obsessed about it and think about it and plan about it and not do anything. Until one day, you know what? Now this time I'm going to do it right. And then you set the goal with exclamation points. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to start doing this diet or whatever it is. You pay the nutrition, you pay the course online. Now marketers are so good at selling you stuff online. So you buy it. You buy $200 worth of course. You never take the course. You're now $300 less and 5 more pounds. But anyway, you're here doing the goal again. Starting Monday, I'm going to do it. And then you do it well for a while until something triggers big emotions. Big emotions, sadness, stress, loss, anxiety is a big one. Feeling not safe, fear. It's all generated by your own mind. And then in a matter of seconds, boom, you're back in old behavior. Not bad, old behavior. And then guilt and shame comes again, and then boom, you go again. And then you do this cycle over and over and over and over again. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called self-sabotage. I cannot tell you how many times I've done this in my life. So many, and I'm sure you have too, because it's called being a human being. Now, when it came to the topic of weight issues, food addiction, and body image, here's what happened at first. I would get triggered. And because as a little girl, I understood that feeling big emotions was not very acceptable. That made you weak. I went straight to food immediately. I didn't even know that I didn't know how to be with me. Anxiety will take over. And it wasn't only food. I would also smoke cigarettes. I wasn't never a big smoker, but I would go to cigarettes. Those two would make me feel a fake sense of safety. And I say fake because in a matter of seconds, I would feel guilt and shame. So I would do this in order to feel good for a moment, but then it was seconds before I would feel the guilt and the shame. So it was a fake sense of safety. And I remember between trigger and behavior, it was seconds. I wouldn't even notice. It was so fast. And I thought, I am doomed to be doing this for the rest of my life. This is not going to get healed because it happens so fast. It's almost like there's another Paola living inside of me that is doing this. And so my way to be able to break the cycle from here to here is that I learn about forgiveness. I learn about self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. Self-sabotage and shame, they're good friends. They like each other. They really like each other. The more you shame and guilt yourself, the more you will self-sabotage. I'll just put it that way. Because they feed from each other in a perfect way, like jelly and peanut butter. It's a perfect combination. Now you want to break this cycle? Have a beautiful relationship with you. Recognize that you're not a body, that you're a soul. And have that soul, that highest self, nurture the human you, the ego you, that just engage in that behavior because you don't know how to sit with yourself. So I remember thinking, okay, I'm just going to treat like I'm my mom, and I'm just going to sit with myself, and I'm going to say, okay, Paola, tell me what just happened. Tell me what just happened. We just ate. It's okay. This is a perfect opportunity for me to know myself. What just happened? And sometimes I would say, well, that message just happened. That conversation just happened. That situation where I felt rejected, where I felt like I didn't belong, when I felt that I was not enough. That happened. And I will start looking at what is it that triggers me in life. And I started learning from my triggers. And I got so good at knowing about my triggers that in time, what happened is that I would see the trigger coming. And I would feel the hunger, and I'll be like, okay, I'm hungry and I want to smoke because this just happened. But this was a work of me wanting to get to know myself so intimately. And if at points didn't happen, it happened so fast, my promise to myself was that I was going to forgive myself and begin again. I've explained this in other calls, but this is key to break the cycle of self-sabotage. This is key, because if you don't know how to self-forgive or do self-forgiveness, you're going to swim in guilt and shame, and that is the perfect combination for a life of self-sabotage. And when you keep self-sabotaging yourself, what happens is that in time, your self-esteem will crash because you have told your subconscious and conscious mind that you're no one to trust, that you cannot be trusted. So, and then you start not trusting other people, and then it's a big, messy problem. Now, when I started forgiving myself, whether it was before or after I engaged in all behavior, and forgiving myself before all behavior was just to be okay to feel the way I felt. To just be able to tell myself, you know what, it's okay to feel the way I feel. It might not make any sense. It might be that I'm judging as ridiculous that I'm feeling this way, but I'm going to give myself permission to feel the way I feel. That didn't mean that I would eat. That just meant that I would just allow myself to feel. That was it. If I had to cry, I cried. If I had to breathe, I breathed. If I had to take a nap, I took a nap. Whatever is that my need was at the moment that was not being fulfilled, I'll ask myself, what is that you need in this moment? I hope you guys are following me. Let's take a deep breath. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. Let go. Inhale. Let go. I guess that was 3. So, when self-forgiveness came here, so what happened is that this moment right here in guilt and shame will be very short. And so I could go back to my original goal very quickly. The gap between shame and setting the goal again was shorter. And when it's shorter, then you get to practice repetition and consistency. And it's right here when you create new habits. When you begin again so many times, then there's a moment where you don't have to begin again because that's just part of your life. Does that make sense? Let's take a deep breath just one more time. Let go. Just because I feel I'm speaking a little fast because there's so much I want to say in this call. If there's any comments, if there's anything that is coming to the surface, please put it in the comments so that I can read them out loud. So, I was saying that we are not a body, we have a body. Now, that doesn't mean that I go into, okay, I'm just going to let go and I'm going to indulge. So I'm going to talk one more time. It's all about a middle point. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people being extremely intense and controlling and crazy about dieting and exercise. For me, Paola, you don't have to believe it, that is poisonous. Even if you have a 6-pack and everybody is envious of your body, if you're engaging in extreme behavior, that is because you are using control as a way of coping. People that are very controlling about their food, about their exercise, that's control, that's fear. We don't need to live there, because then you miss a lot. You miss a lot of joy, a lot of beauty of this life. Now, some people that are not in the extreme, that are in the other extreme, they hear this argument of, relax a little bit, and they say, yeah, I'm just going to relax. Who cares? We're all going to get old and blah, blah, blah. And then they let themselves go and eat whatever they want. They don't sleep well. They don't treat their body with respect. But Paola, it's not important. It's just vanity to take care of the body. You're still in an extreme. When you are in alignment with your highest self, the natural thing is to respect and honor your body with good food, good sleep, movement, and all the good stuff that our body requires to be a beautiful vehicle of love. So, it's not about this person that is extreme and it looks so good that is, oh my God, everybody wants to be like that person, but they're still sick and tired in their minds because they're pushing too hard. And it's not about the person that says, well, you only live once, YOLO, and I'm just going to let go and I'm not going to take care of this, because you eventually will collapse. Okay? So how do we meet in the middle? And that is a question you need to ask yourself in this moment. How do I meet in the middle? And the way that I do this is, first question is, am I doing what I'm about to do? Am I doing it from a space of fear, or am I doing it from a space of love? If you can see that there is fear there, is how can I do this with loving intention? Maybe you relax a little bit. Maybe you don't go so extreme. Maybe you engage in a little habit, baby steps. We're all different. Some people like to go full on, some people like to go little steps. But what does it mean to you to be engaging in a new behavior, new habits, honoring your body temple from a space of love? And just ask that question. I have to ask this question all the time to myself, because I know a lot of information. I know what it means to fast. I know what it means to be vegan. I know what it means to be vegetarian. I know what it means to run. I know what fitness gives me. I know. I've navigated all of it. And I know they give results. And many times I could go there in a space of fear, because God forbid my body changes or I gain a pound. And in that moment, I need to pause myself and I need to ask myself, look at myself in the eye, my inner eye, and be true to myself. Paola, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Where is this coming from? And sometimes it has nothing to do with my body. It has to do that just before I felt so inadequate, so not enough, that I need to meet one of my needs, that there's a need that is not being fulfilled, that I need to take a moment and breathe and tell that little girl that it's okay, that it's okay to feel, that it's okay to want to be seen, that it's okay to want to belong. So I hope you're getting what I'm saying here. This is not a conversation about any extremes, because I don't believe in those extremes. I believe in the middle, and only you can know what's the middle. So second question, what does it mean to feel good in your body? It doesn't have to mean a certain number in a scale. It doesn't have to be body fat. I believe it has to do with a feeling tone in your body. I know I love to wake up in the morning and feel vital. I love to wake up in the morning and feel the energy that gave me that sleep, because I didn't eat heavy in the night before. I had a normal nutritionist dinner, or perhaps because I stopped eating at 6 o'clock, and I know many hours of not eating makes me feel good. I know I do that because that makes me feel good. It's a feeling tone of love. I know I like to wake up and either go to the ocean or exercise, because I know when I show up in class, that I teach at Rhythmia, when I show up in class, my body is awake, my brain has been irrigated with good juices because I just exercised in the morning. I know there's some weekends where I don't have to teach, and I think I need to go to do some exercise, and I ask myself, why are you thinking this? Oh, last night you feel like you ate way too much, and now you're trying to punish your body because of that. And so I just question what goes on in this mind here, because it could be very tricky. And if I find myself in any compulsive, fearful behavior, I forgive myself and I begin again. and I give myself what I need in the moment, which is not another diet, which is not running like crazy or sweating or whatever it is that I would go in an unconscious moment. I just really get real with myself and question myself and ask, what do you need from me? Because let me tell you something, if you're not addressing that feeling of unworthiness, of not enoughness, no diet, no six-pack, no nothing will give you fulfillment. Nothing will make you feel enough. I tell you, in my early 20s, I've never been so skinny. I've never been so perfect in my diet. And I've never been how sad I was in that moment. Incomplete. I felt it was never enough. Unsatisfied. There was no satisfaction ever. I remember at the time I would look at myself every day in the mirror and be so critical. It was, for the people that were around me, it was annoying. It was very annoying. And now, nowadays, if I start doing that in the mirror, back up, look at myself as a whole, remember who I am so that I can honor what I have. I hope you guys are still with me. Let's take a deep breath in. Let go. Nikki says, I feel like I'm in class again. That's good. All right. Joe says, yes. All right. So there is another thing I want to show you in the 10 minutes that we have left. And this comes from Reverend Michael, and I love this. So I would say in my early years, especially when I was a teenager, I would do things with my body because of vanity. This is where, plastic surgery comes, where pills to lose weight come, all of the efforts that we do to try very hard to fit in, to be worthy, to feel like you're enough. So anything that you do for your body that comes from a space of vanity, it's we will call it the first stage of consciousness, a very primal state of consciousness. Then you have a second state of consciousness when it comes to your body. And that's when you do things for health and wellness. And we're going to include fitness here. This is a second stage of consciousness. You want to do things because you want to feel better, because you want to have more energy, because you want to age more gracefully. If you have muscle, your cells will age more gracefully. You do this because you want to play with your kids, and you want to, you want to be healthy. You want to look good too. You look in the mirror and look good, not as in a vanity way, because you want to be like a model in a magazine, just because you just want to feel good. You feel like you're strong. Wellness, health. That's a second stage of consciousness. And then there's a third state of consciousness. We're going to call it the vessel. The vessel. And what does that mean? I'm going to go back to stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 2, I do it for me reasons. I need to fit in. I need to be worthy. I need to look good. Because otherwise, what other people are going to think of me? Okay, a very materialistic, shallow way of thinking. Then we do it for health, wellness, and fitness reasons. And this still me reason. I'm going to do it because I want to feel good. I want to feel energy. I want to feel strong. But then there is a third reason what you do thing. And this we're going to call it a we reason. Because you understand that you're not the water, that you are the faucet. You're a vessel of light, of wisdom, of love, of power. You and your body, you get to be the vessel of all that the universe wants to express through you. Now, an example of this is I had a friend one time. She was a smoker, and she tried everything to try to stop smoking. And it wasn't until she got pregnant that she called me and she said, I am so happy that I am pregnant. I've been trying for so long, and I have no desire of smoking, which is actually pretty impressive because I heard the women that get pregnant and they have addiction to nicotine, when they are pregnant, they want to smoke even more. So the cravings go up. But in this case, my friend was so in awe and honored and so happy, so grateful for her getting pregnant because she tried many, many, many years. She was so happy about this that she said, look, I want to be the cleanest space, the cleanest vessel for this baby to create, to be created in my body. So therefore, I'm not only stopping the smoking because of me, I'm doing it for we. So now, how does this apply to you? So we go from here to here, and if you've gone through here to here, maybe you stay here for a while until you master this. But then in time, you start seeing how you start showing up in the world. You start showing up with more enthusiasm. You start showing up with more positivism. You start showing up with more ideas, with more solutions, with more peace, with more grace. Your friends and family start asking you, what did you do? You're so grounded. Your presence is so beautiful. Just you being here is enough. You don't have to say anything. You start being a vessel of the beauty that the universe wants to reveal and express through you. So you're still engaging in this, but you don't do it for a me reason. You start doing it for a we reason. Does that make sense? If it does make sense, I would love to see a yes in the comments. Or it makes sense, the phrase, it makes sense. I think this for me was kind of like the last, not the last because you're never done learning, but when I met Reverend Michael 4 years ago and he explained this to me, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I see it now. And again, this is not you saying, okay, I'm just a spiritual being and my body doesn't matter. This is you saying, I'm a spiritual being and I have the honor to have this beautiful body temple. Therefore, I'm going to take care of it because I know I can give more to the world. I can engage more in my dharma and my purpose in such a way that it just flows through me. It's not a struggle. It's not a struggle to do it. I've seen people that are not engaging in this by thinking their body is a vessel. They're constantly giving, they're channeling, they're doing whatever is their dharma, but at some point their body temples just collapse because all of this that wants to flow through them, their body's not ready to do it. It's tired. Is not well hydrated, is not well rested, is not well, moved and exercised, no well nourished. Joe says it makes perfect sense. Nikki says yes. Joe says yes. Okay, great. Kakan says yes. Now, my friend Lao says that the signal is leaving. Is that true? Are you guys not being able to listen to me? Is it true that it's going in and out? Well, anyways, we're gonna almost finish this call. And I would love to see, is there any question, any comments about what I just share with you? And also, can you hear me? Joe says it's goody there. Diana says, I hear you and see you perfect. So maybe Lao is your internet. So a couple of tips before we go, because I wrote them here. Number one, stop the violent communication with yourself. No more aggression towards yourself. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't have anything good to say or think, don't think or say anything. If you already did it, say, I forgive myself and I'm going to begin again. Look at yourself as a whole. Stop picking up little parts of you. You're not just this little bit of your skin and this stretch mark or the cellulite. You're not that. You're more than that. You're a whole. Your whole body is this beautiful machine that allows you to be here. So only communicate about your body in beautiful, loving ways. This is one of the biggest things I've done in the last 10 years. I was obsessed. about criticizing my body. And one moment I said, no more, no more. And now it's a habit in my life. I don't refer as my body as inadequate or bad or nothing. So stop that. When you're going to engage in a new plan, meal plan, exercise, gym, whatever it is, ask yourself first, am I doing this from a space of love or fear? And if you're doing it out of fear, how can you shift it to love? How can you transmute your intention? That doesn't mean that you stop going to the gym, because don't you get me wrong. Some people be like, well, I'm going to do it from fear, so therefore I'm not going to go to the gym. No, it doesn't mean that. It means, how can you shift your perception and show up to the gym, show up to, cook that good meal in a space of love? That's just shifting your perception. Doesn't mean stop doing that. Shift your perception. Another thing is stop comparing. You heard me say this. Stop comparing yourself. Celebrate who you are, because you are such a beautiful, unique expression. So another thing that happens to us women, and I'm not saying to men doesn't happen, but when you see someone better looking than you or fitter or whatever it is, then all of a sudden you eliminate yourself. What does that mean? You completely denied that you are also worthy, that you are also beautiful. And that's in a world of scarcity. If one is looking good, therefore I'm not looking good. If one is looking good, you can look good too. There's room for everyone to be looking great in their own unique way. So that someone has something that you don't have doesn't mean that you are not worthy anymore, that you're not beautiful anymore. You are an expression of the universe in your own unique way. So stop comparing and start celebrating your uniqueness. Fall in love with your unique qualities. What are those unique things that only you have? Your composition, your combination, it's only one in the world. What if you fell in love with that? The other thing is that start doing it now, because the problem is that we think we have time. Start doing it now, because your problem, my problem is that we think we have time. Time goes like this. You have no idea how many people I've talked, maybe in their 70s, 80s, and some of them are at peace with aging. And some of them, they have told me, enjoy your youth, enjoy your 30s, enjoy your 40s, enjoy your 50s, because one day you're going to be 70, you're going to be 80, and the body naturally is going to change. So celebrate you now. You're never going to be this young ever again. So enjoy your vitality, your age. Another thing we do with our body temple is that we complain a lot about age. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Goddesses and gods never age. When you recognize your divinity, you'll see that age means absolutely nothing. But that requires us to have an active spiritual life. And spiritual, you know that I mean by that, not religious. It's about recognizing that you're an eternal being. I met some people the other day. There was a 75-year-old woman that came to raise me. She was so beautiful. Her body was not perfect, but she had so much glow that everybody was in awe. Her smile, her eyes were shiny, everything, and she dressed herself beautifully. That's another thing. Beauty and expression is a very feminine trait. So that's why I have trouble when sometimes women are like, well, whatever, revolution, and we're going against all of that, and they stop taking care of themselves, they stop adorning I don't know if you say that, but like putting beautiful clothes on in a form of expression. I'm not talking about trying to demonstrate anything. I'm trying about expressing that beauty. And again, men too. It's so beautiful to see a man that is in their elder years still taking care of themselves. Not only elders, everyone. It's a beautiful trait it's a feminine energy trait. It's beautiful. And remember that the whole thing doesn't start with the body. It starts in the spirit. When you know who you are, that you're not the body, you have a body, then you naturally want to honor what you have. you naturally want to do that. So don't start paying attention to the food, to the exercise, to the sleeping, to all of that if you first haven't paid attention to your soul, to your true nature. Because if you start with food and exercise, your willpower only lasts a little bit, months sometimes, if you're very good. But for me, it never lasted, I think, more than 2 weeks. It wasn't until I knew that I was more than my body that I could keep showing up again and again and again, forgiving myself, beginning again. And then in time, that repetition, as I said before, it became a habit. And so now today, 2019, what day is today? April 28, 2019, I can say to you, I have found harmony. Now, I'm not perfect, but I know that if I go down the rabbit hole, I know how to bring myself back up with the power of love and forgiveness and knowing who I am. I hope this resonated with you. This is a very fun topic for me. Next week, I want to talk about romantic relationships. I've been reading a beautiful book called Tantra from that lady that I just told you, that 75-year-old woman. Her name is Carolyn Moore. And he wrote it with her husband at the time, Charles Moore. The name of the book is Tantra, The Art of Conscious Loving. And I also have read Beyond Venus and Mars from John Gray. And those two books have been great eye-opening for me. So next week I'm going to bring what I've been learning about romantic relationships. So if you're not in a romantic relationship, this could be great for your next romantic relationship. And if you are in one, this could save your marriage. This could, if you're starting a relationship like me, I've been dating for a year and a half, and I've been using these concepts, and it's been the best relationship I've ever had, because I know more things. I know some of the research, and I know how my hormones work, and I think everybody should know this. But that's going to be next week. I'm going to put all the information together and deliver it to you. We're going to talk about romantic relationships, hormones, interactions between yin and yang, feminine, masculine. So thank you so much. I hope you like this video. Please comment if after you watch this there's a question. I'll do my best to come back to this chat and answer it after I'm not live anymore. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Let's breathe one more time and let go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodbye.